Hello, my sweet friends, and welcome back to the Lantern Lit Hollow. Here, all stories glow softly and help you drift off to sleep. So grab your favorite blanket, snuggle in nice and cozy, and when you're ready, we'll begin. Tonight's tale is another one written by Charles Perrault in the late 17th century. It's called Little Tom Thumb. One evening long ago, a poor farmer sat by the hearth poking up the fire to stir up some warmth. His wife sat next to him spinning thread.
"How sad it is that we do not have children," he said. "Here it is always so quiet, while the other houses it is noisy and lively."
"That is true," sighed his wife. "If we only had one child, even if it were only as big as my thumb, we would be satisfied and love it with all of our hearts." Now, as it so happened, the wife's wish was granted. After 7 months passed, she gave birth to a child who was perfect in every way, except he was no bigger than her thumb. "It is as we had wished it to be," she said. "He will be our dear child." And because of his size, they named him Tom Thumb. Although he was given plenty of food, Tom did not grow any bigger. He stayed the same size as the day he was born. However, he had lively eyes and succeeded in everything he did because he was very intelligent. One day, the farmer was getting ready to go into the forest to cut wood.
"I wish that there was someone who could come bring the cart to me,"
he said to himself.
"Oh, Father, I will take care of it,"
cried Tom Thumb.
"You can rely on me. The cart will arrive in time in the forest."
The man started to laugh and said,
"How can that be done? You are too small to lead the horse by the reins."
"That doesn't matter, Father,"
replied the lad.
"If Mother will harness it, I will sit in the horse's ear and tell him where to go."
"Well, I suppose we can give it a try,"
said the man. When the time came, the mother harnessed the horse and placed Tom Thumb in its ear. From there, he started to shout at the horse, telling it where to go. Sometimes,
"Yay!"
and sometimes,
"Whoa!"
He handled the horse as if he were a rider, and the cart went straight to the forest. Just as the horse was turning a corner and Tom Thumb was shouting,
"Yay! Yay!"
2 strangers stood in his path.
"Well, what do we have here?"
said one.
"The cart is moving, the horse is moving, but we do not see anyone leading it."
"There is something not quite right here.
Exclaimed the other one.
Let's follow the cart to see where it stops."
The cart drove on to the forest and arrived at the exact place where the wood had been cut. When Tom Thumb saw his father, he cried,
"You see, Father? Here I am with the cart. Now put me on the ground."
The father held the reins in one hand, and with the other hand he took his son out of the horse's ear. The little boy sat down happily on a straw. When the 2 strangers saw Tom Thumb, they were so surprised they did not know what to think. Then one of them took the other aside and said,
"Listen, this little fellow could make us a fortune if we exhibited him for money in the large city. We have to buy him."
Then turning to Tom's father, they said,
"Sell us this little man. He will be well looked after."
"No," replied the father. "He is the apple of my eye, and I would not sell him for all the gold in the world."
But hearing this proposal, Tom Thumb climbed up the folds of his father's coat, sat on his shoulder, and whispered in his ear,
"Father, sell me today, and I will soon return home to you."
So after a little more talk, his father sold him to the men for a large sum of money.
Where do you want to sit?
Asked the men.
Oh, just put me in the rim of your hat. Then I can walk to and fro and look at the countryside without falling off,
replied Tom Thumb. They did as he asked, and when Tom had said goodbye to his father, they set off together. They traveled together until darkness came, and Tom Thumb then said,
Put me on the ground for a while. No, stay up there for now,
answered the one who carried him.
It makes no difference to me. No,
answered Tom Thumb.
I know my manners. Put me on the ground quickly.
The man took off his hat and placed him on the ground near the road. Tom jumped into the thick undergrowth, then suddenly slipped into a mouse hole that he'd noticed beforehand.
Goodbye, gentlemen. You can continue your journey without me,
he jeered as he disappeared. The men ran towards him and prodded into the mouse hole with their sticks, but it was all in vain. Tom Thumb crept further in, and as it was becoming dark, they could do nothing but return home, angry and with empty pockets. When Tom Thumb could no longer hear their voices, he came out of the hole.
It is dangerous on the ground when it is this dark,
he said to himself.
I could easily break an arm or a leg. I'd better look for somewhere to rest.
Fortunately, he found an empty snail shell.
Thank heavens,
he said.
I can spend the night in here safely.
And he crept into the shell. A little later on, when he was about to fall asleep, he heard two men pass by. One of them said, How shall we set about stealing the rich pastor's silver and gold?
I could tell you that,
Tom Thumb shouted.
What was that?
said one thief, trembling.
I heard a voice.
They stopped to listen while Tom Thumb continued.
Take me with you. I will help you.
But where are you? They cried.
Look at the ground and listen where the voice comes from,
he answered. The thieves found him at last and picked up the snail shell.
Listen, little fella, how do you think you can help us?
They said.
Oh, I can climb into the pastor's room between the window bars and hand out to you everything you want,
replied Tom Thumb.
Well, we can see what you can do,
they decided. Soon they arrived at the pastor's house, and Tom Thumb slid into the room between the bars. When he was inside, he started to cry aloud with all his might.
Do you want everything here?
The thieves shuddered and told him,
Shh! Talk softly so as not to wake anyone.
But Tom Thumb pretended not to hear them and continued to shout,
What do you want? Do you want everything in here?
The cook, who slept in the room next door, heard the voices. She sat up in bed and listened, but the two frightened thieves had run off. After a while, when they had regained their courage, they said to each other,
The little fellow's trying to get the better of us.
They went back to the house and whispered,
Come on, be serious and pass us something.
So Tom Thumb started to shout again as loud as he could.
Yes, I will give you everything. Come a little closer and put your hands inside.
The cook jumped out of bed and the frightened thieves ran away as if the devil was on their heels. When the cook went into the room, she could not see anything. She put the light on and checked every corner of the house, but she did not discover Tom Thumb. So she went back to bed thinking she must have dreamed everything. Tom Thumb slipped out of the house and hid in the barn. He climbed into a pile of hay and found a cozy place to sleep. He planned to rest there until the next morning, then return to his parents. But there were still other adventures in store for him. The world can bring a lot of trouble and bad luck, as Tom would find out the next day. As she did every morning, the cook got up at the crack of dawn to feed the animals. First, she went to the shed where she took an armful of hay from the exact place where Tom Thumb was sleeping. He was sleeping so soundly that he felt nothing. In fact, he did not wake up until he was in the cow's mouth after she had taken a bite of hay.
Oh dear, how did I end up here?
He cried, realizing the danger. The only way to avoid being crushed by the cow's teeth was to slip down into her stomach, which the tiny lad did bravely. The cow didn't even notice and carried on eating.
They forgot to put windows in this little room,
He said when he landed in her dark insides.
the sun doesn't shine in, and it would be difficult to get a candle in here.
Tom was very unhappy in his new home, especially as more hay kept arriving. The space around him grew smaller and smaller. In a panic, he started to shout as loudly as he could.
Don't give me any more hay! Don't give me any more hay!
The cook was milking the cow when she heard the voice shouting, but she could not see anyone although she looked. So she carried on until Tom cried out again. Suddenly, she recognized the voice from the night before, and she was so shocked that she fell from the stool and spilled all the milk. She rushed to her master and cried,
Oh goodness, Pastor! The cow has been talking!
You are mad,
answered the pastor, who nonetheless went himself to the stable to see what was happening for himself. As soon as he set foot in the stable, Tom Thumb started to shout again.
Don't give me any more hay! Don't give me any more hay!
The pastor became frightened. He thought it was the voice of the devil and ordered that the cow be killed. So the cow was slaughtered, and they threw the stomach with Tom Thumb in it into the rubbish heap. Tom thought that now he would be able to escape, but just as he managed to poke his head out, another misfortune happened. A hungry wolf was passing by and swallowed the whole stomach in one gulp. Still, Tom Thumb did not lose courage.
Maybe the wolf will listen to what I have to say.
He thought, and from the wolf's belly he called,
Dear wolf, I know a delicious treat that you will find most enjoyable. Where can I find this?
answered the wolf, although he found it odd to hear a voice from his stomach.
I will take you there. You will find cake, bacon, sausages, as much as you can eat.
Then Tom described his father's house in detail. The wolf didn't need telling twice. That night he found his way to the house and slipped into the kitchen through a hole in the wall. He slunk into the pantry where he ate and ate and ate. When he had eaten his fill, he tried to leave through the same hole, but he had grown so fat that he could not go out the same way he had come in. Tom Thumb then began to make a terrible uproar in the wolf's stomach.
Will you be quiet?
Said the wolf, groaning.
You will wake up the people who live here. Oh, too bad,
replied Tom.
You have eaten your fill. I want to enjoy myself as well.
Then he began to yell and cry with all his might. At last, his parents were woken up by all of the noise. They ran into the kitchen and looked around. When they saw the wolf, the man fetched his axe and the woman grabbed a knife.
Stay behind me,
said the man.
I will hit the wolf, then you cut him into pieces.
When Tom Thumb heard his father's voice, he cried,
Dear father, I am here. I am in the wolf's stomach.
Goodness,
said his father.
Our dear boy has found us again, but what a way to return home!
He told his wife to put down the knife because he was afraid it would harm Tom Thumb in the wolf's stomach. Then he gave the wolf a hard blow to the head, which killed it. Tom's father picked up a pair of scissors, cut the wolf's stomach open, and rescued his son.
Thank goodness,
He said.
we have been so worried about you.
Yes, Father, it is good to breathe fresh air again,
Replied his son.
Where have you been then?
Asked the man.
Ah, Father, I have seen much of the world. I have been in a mouse hole, in a cow's stomach, and in the wolf's belly. Now I am home with you, which is where I want to stay.
And we will never sell you again, not for all the treasures in the world,
Declared his parents. They hugged their sweet Tom Thumb for a long time, and from that day on, Tom was far more careful about the journeys he made. And that brings our story to an end this evening, my sweet friends. And now it is time to turn the lantern down to a soft glow. Snuggle with your favorite stuffy, and let yourself drift off to dreamland. Sleep sweet, my dear friends, and I'll be here when next you return